And to the special meeting for today.
Find out, do I need to do it or you?
Okay. All right,
I mean, the whole meeting.
Mr. Blunt. So does Superintendent Cole handle the entire meeting? Okay, all right.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the special meeting of the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board on this Thursday, January 9th, 2025. The invocation and pledge of allegiance. The call to order, invocation and pledge will be the invocation will be done by School Board Member Mark Ballou. The pledge of allegiance will be led by School Board Member Patrick Martin. Do we have a quorum? Roll call. Oh, we're gonna do it after the invocation and the pledge. Okay.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We pray for the health and safety of everyone in our community. As we enter a new year, we seek renewal of our minds, our hearts, and our spirits. Give us the enlightenment to forgive, strengthen our faith in each other, and fill our hearts with hope and joy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to call a meeting to order. Item 1, election of the president of the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board.
Mr. Cole, can we do roll call first?
Go ahead.
District 3, President Powell Lewis.
Present.
District 9, Vice President Martin.
Present.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Here.
District 2, Mr. Lannis.
Present.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Present.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 7, Mr. Goday.
Here.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Item 1, election of the president of the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? We now go to members of the board. I will now open the floor for nominations for the office of Board President. Are there any nominations?
I've entered into the queue. I would like to nominate School Board Member Shoshone Stewart.
Mr. Blue?
I nominate Patrick Martin.
Are there any other nominations for the position of School Board President? Mr. Russ?
I nominate Emily Sule.
Are there any other nominations for School Board President? Are there any other nominations for School Board President? Are there any other nominations for School Board President? If no other nomination, I will now entertain a motion to close nominations.
I move to close nominations.
Second. Has been properly moved by Board Member Lannis, seconded by Board Member Lewis. At this time, Madam Secretary, we will conduct a roll call vote.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Mr. Martin?
Oh, wait, we're doing the close of nomination, sorry.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Lannis.
Yay.
Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yay.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yes.
District 7, Mr. Goday.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
It appears no one, okay. At this time, Madam Secretary, we will conduct a roll call vote for President of School Board.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Mr. Martin.
District 2, Mr. Lannis.
Shoshone Stewart.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Ms. Stewart.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Miss Stewart.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Miss Stewart.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Ms. Stewart.
District 7, Mr. Gode.
Miss Stewart.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Miss Stewart.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Miss Stewart.
Stewart has 8 votes for president. Mr. Martin has 1. Ms. Stewart is our new president.
Congratulations, Ms. Stewart. I will now open the floor for nominations for the office of Board Vice President. Are there any nominations? Mr. Lannis.
Gode.
Mr. Cole, I think we have to
Sorry.
do the,
School Board Member Michael Gode.
We have to go to public for comment?
I think, yes, the second item, yes.
Okay. Let's see if there's a second item on the agenda. Okay, let's back up. Item number 2, election of the Vice President of the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Anyone here wishing to speak on the item? There's no one here to speak on the item. We go to the board. I will now open the floor for nominations for the office of Board Vice President. Member Lannis.
I wish to nominate Mr. Michael Gode.
Mr. Martin.
I'd like to nominate Board Member Emily Sule.
Are there any other nominations for the position of Vice President? Are there any other nominations for the position of Vice President? Are there any other nominations for the position of Vice President? I will now close the nominations. At this time, Madam Secretary, we will conduct a roll call vote. Let's go back. We need to close the nominations, Madam Secretary. We will now conduct a roll call vote. Is there a motion to close the nominations?
I move to close nominations.
Made by Lannis, seconded by Member Lewis. Now cut the roll call vote for the closing of the nominations.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Yes.
District 2, Mr. Lannis.
Yay.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yes.
District 7, Mr. Gode.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
At this time, Madam Secretary will conduct a roll call vote for the office of Vice President.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Ms. Sule.
District 2, Mr. Lannis.
Michael Bartholomew Gode.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Mr. Gode.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Mr. Gode.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Gode.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Ms. Sule.
District 7, Mr. Gode.
Mr. Gode.
Di- District 8, Ms. Sule.
Miss Sule.
District 5, Mr. Martin.
Miss Sule.
Sorry about that, guys. 5 for Mr. Gode, 4 for Ms. Sule. Mr. Gode is Vice President.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
Move to close.
There's a second. There's
Point
a
of
second.
clarification. Is there a swearing in that needs to take place?
So we'll do the swearing in. Take 5 minutes for us to move y'all around, computers, name blocks, and all that.
Is that before or after
If that's okay
adjournment?
with everyone.
Is that before or after adjournment?
But before we adjourn, let me congratulate Board Member Stewart and ask if she has anything she'd like to say.
Thank you. Yes, first of all, I would like to thank my colleagues for entrusting me in this position, and know that this position and we are going to do an awesome job this year. Thank you.
Board Member Lannis.
Well, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say, Madam President, Ms. Carla Powell Lewis, thank you for leading this board over the course of this year. I know it didn't start off the way that it should have, but I must say it ended in such a beautiful fashion. And also thank you, Vice President Martin, for helping to lead the board. It's something that we much needed. And I'd like to also thank our new incoming Madam President, Ms. Stewart. I know you're going to do a phenomenal job. And Mr. Goday, welcome back.
Member Powell Lewis.
It has been an amazing experience. I know I said that in December, and I reiterate that tonight as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. I am here. I'm here for anyone who needs anything at all. What I've shared with my colleagues individually was based on however this vote turned out tonight. I wanted to let them know that I'm here to support, and I would love to engage in transition conversations to make sure that we continue the work and then enhance the work as well. Also, I would like to say thank you to my Vice President, Vice President Martin. Thank you so much for your service. Listen, we still have time together, and we will all grow as a board together. And I look forward to the day when we can all say that we have done what we needed to do to push our school system forward. And I know that the best is yet to come. So thank you. Congratulations to Ms. Stewart, now President-elect Ms. Stewart, and then also Vice President-elect Mr. Goday, and to all who opened themselves up for service tonight. Thank you for allowing your name to be entered even as a nomination. That speaks volumes as well. So congratulations to you all. The best is yet to come.
Member Martin.
Thank you. I'd like to say congratulations to President Stewart and Vice President Goday, and wish you all the success over the coming year, and anything that I can do to support that, I will absolutely do. I've long said, even in some of our darkest times on the board, that I'm 100% confident that every member of this board has always acted in what they perceive to be the best interests of the children of this parish. And so I have no doubt that as a board we will continue to act that way regardless of who is leading the board in any given year. So on a personal level, for those who have consistently supported me over the past year in my duties as Vice President, I'm very grateful for that. For those of you who have voted for me in this position to entrust me with this, I deeply appreciate that. I appreciate the time that I've had working with President Powell Lewis, who's become my friend, and I look forward to at least 2 more years continued service on this board. Thank you.
This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moves. What?
Mr. Superintendent, you can adjourn, but, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to administer the oath during a meeting. So what I would suggest is take a 5-minute recess, reconfigure the name tags, assemble with President and Vice President, then President, administer the oath, then adjourn the meeting, and then you'll be able to reconvene with the new leadership in place.
I serve at the pleasure. Recess. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We did have some online comment. Madam Powell?
Due to the disrespectful nature of the comments or the comment that is listed, I am choosing not to read this comment. Mr. Martin, of course, I know that you normally read the electronic or the online comments. If you desire to do so, you may, but I am choosing not to.
From my perspective, I'm not an officer anymore. It's not my call to make.
Madam President, I hadn't been sworn in, so you still currently President. So if you choose not to read it, Mr. Blunt?
I guess until we administer the oath, the officers are the officers.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Gode, you're in the queue. Did you want to speak? Or was that before?
Them setting.
Lewis, you want to say anything? That was before. So at this time, we'll administer the oath of office to the President-elect, Mr. Blunt.
Oh, you're vice, okay.
Vice President Gode.
I, Michael Goodman, do solemnly swear and affirm
That I will support the constitutional laws
that I will support the constitutional laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and the Constitution and laws of this state,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as
as Vice President of the East Baton Parish School Board, according to the best of my ability and understanding, so help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations, President Stewart, Vice President Gode. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. So moved by Board Member Lana, seconded by Board Member Lewis. Any objections? Meeting is adjourned. We'll take another 5-minute recess and begin our committee of the whole in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Guess while we're waiting, everyone can start logging in. We have to get out of the old meeting to the new one.
Thank you. The January 9th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting will now come to order. I will ask the board secretary to call to do the roll call, please.
Numerical order today. District 1, Mr. Blue.
Here.
District 2, Mr. Lannis.
Present.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Present.
District 4, Ms. Stewart.
Present.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 7, Mr. Goday.
Here.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 1B1, the fiscal transparency report is for information only. Are there any comments from the board or questions from the board about the fiscal transparency report? Seeing none, we'll mark the item as received. Item C2, school presentation. Mr. Cole, I will turn that over to you.
Thank you, Vice President Gode. As in keeping with our tradition of allowing our schools to come up and talk about what is happening, and then in following the numbers of our district this week, this month for the new year, we're going to begin in District 3. I think that's your district, Madam. No, we did District 3, we're in District 4.
Oh, okay,
District 4, Madam President, we're in District 4. So first, before we begin, let me say Happy New Year to all of you. Welcome back to the new semester and a new year. A lot of exciting things are going to happen this school year for our students, and together we're going to make sure we help everyone succeed. And so at this time, we're going to have a presentation from the principal at Bel Air High School.
Thank you, Madam President Stewart, Vice President Mr. Gode, distinguished members of the board, Superintendent Cole. I want to express my gratitude and thanks for allowing me to speak to you this evening about Bel Air Magnet High School. At Bel Air Magnet High School, we envision a future where every student excels as a thoughtful, innovative leader, equipped to navigate and shape a complex world. We aspire to be a beacon of academic excellence and personal growth, driven by our core values of perseverance, respect, integrity, discipline, and excellence. Through a commitment to innovation, critical thinking, and collaboration, we aim to cultivate a vibrant and inclusive learning environment that empowers students to embrace challenges, explore new possibilities, and finally contribute meaningfully to their communities. Our vision is to inspire and prepare students to achieve their highest potential and make a transformative impact on the world. Who are we? My name is Damian Gordon, and in leading this work, I'm helped and assisted by my two assistant principals, Ms. Tana Boudreaux Allen and Mr. Darrell Wright. We currently serve a population of 666. We gained a new student today, +1. And we are proud to say that we are one of 2 high schools that actually gained. We had a 3-point gain on our SPS this year, so we're very happy to say that we're moving upward. Looking over the past 2 years, what you see on the screen now is a snapshot of 2023 and 2024. We know we have very hard work ahead of us. I'd like to draw your attention to the ACT and ACT work keys area, where we attribute our 3-point gains to the hard work last year of a very hard-working team. We had a 30-point gain in that area. We know that the work only begins there. So I also wanted on this slide to kind of highlight two areas this year in the fall semester where we've had some gains. On the pie graph, you're going to see we administered the ACT work keys once, and we had roughly 27% of the students that tested silver or above. Of course, we plan on continuing that testing, and we expect to continue the trend of growth there. At this time, I want to highlight the hard work of our CAPE teachers on our campus, because during the fall semester, they had 169 IBCs earned by students. So, very hard work. At Bel Air Magnet High School, this slide highlights the various pathways afforded to students should they attend Bel Air. We have an AV Arts and Communication pathway, basically focused on production skills and training and certification in a variety of media types, such as television, film, and music production. Business management, which focuses on basic foundations and functions of business and entrepreneurship. Engineering and robotics, focusing on hands-on projects, and the curriculum prepares students by teaching students to understand the fundamentals of engineering in the classroom as well as in the workplace. Construction and carpentry, focused on working in the construction industry in carpentry crafts, designs. And finally, hospitality and tourism, where students are allowed to unleash their inner chef and turn their passion for cooking into a successful career within culinary arts. We're very proud to say that we are the only school in the district that has the Promise Lab. What is the Promise Lab? State Representative Vanessa LaFleur works in partnership with Bel Air High School with the Promise Lab. We have a cohort of about 60 9th and 10th grade students that live in District 101, the Bel Air Magnet, where Bel Air Magnet High School is. The Promise Lab is a transformative opportunity focused on building critical life, academic, and cultural skills in partnership with Dr. James Gilmore from the Institute of Human Development. We know that academic success is important, but is not the only indicator of future life success. Skills such as cultural intelligence, professionalism, communication, financial literacy, critical thinking, and civic engagement are also needed for the future workplace. So the Promise Lab is designed to build up students to be not only academically prepared, but also prepared with critical skills needed in business, education, industry, and more. I wanted to highlight our Teacher of the Year, Dr. Morahan. Dr. Morahan originates from Cuba and moved to the United States in 2005. If you know anything about Bel Air, you know about 28% of our population is Hispanic and Latino. Dr. Morahan leads our efforts. She does everything with that population. When we need her to be a parent liaison, she's a parent liaison. She helps out with testing. When we had vacancies at the beginning of the year, she was in the classroom filling vacancies. She does so much, and we at Bel Air Magnet High School are just truly, truly lucky to have her. This young man here is the epitome of what a Bel Air student is. Mr. Freddie Davidson not only was our Bel Air Student of the Year, but he was a district finalist. Freddie is a battalion commander. He is the head chef of ProStart. He's the Beta Club vice president, senior class president, and I have to tell you this, we had a winter social for the senior class. And the type of individual that Freddie is, rather than sit down and take part in receiving, he was cooking for his classmates. And we said, Freddie, why don't you sit down and enjoy? He said, after everyone's been served, Mr. Gordon. So he's a dynamic young man. If you know anything about Bel Air, our JROTC is a shining jewel within at Bel Air Magnet High School. We're proud to say that we have the largest JROTC program in the district, currently serving a population of 234 students. They embody leadership, service, and community spirit. These dedicated cadets make a significant impact through their volunteer work, including this year packing Thanksgiving dinners for over 700 families at the food bank. They also support local youth by helping out right across the street at La Belle Aire Elementary School. They have organized toy drives for the students there. And each year they lead the Veterans Day ceremony at our school honoring those who have served. Our JROTC program instills the values of duty, respect, and service, shaping tomorrow's leaders today. Some of the pictures that you see is some of that service work that they have done. Our arts and performance program, our Royal Wave band is known for participating in a variety of parades and around both the city and the state. Our Strong Hispanic Heritage Club, you're going to see a picture of the young ladies in gowns performing various dances at elementary schools during our Hispanic Heritage Month. We're very proud of the way that they represent our school. And finally, I think I clicked once too many, but Bel Air High School is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And I wanted to highlight that and extend an invitation to everyone that Bel Air High School will host our Gala and Alumni Hall of Fame induction at the Renaissance Hotel, 7000 Bluebonnet Boulevard at 7 p.m. on April 11th. Thank you for allowing me to speak and share with you a little bit about Bel Air High School. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are a few comments, if you would mind waiting, sir. There are a few comments.
Only you, Mr. Gordon.
Not so easy. Board Member Carla Powell Lewis.
Thank you. First, Mr. Gordon, I want to send all kudos to you. You know that we have worked together before as teachers at Crestworth Learning Academy. You were a shining star then, and I am so appreciative that you are serving as the leader of Bel Air High School. Short story. I consider myself as a transplant for Bel Air, because that's where I did my student teaching in 2001 under the leadership of Betty Wilkerson, who no longer teaches. She is retired at this time. But under that, my sister is also an alum. But I quickly think back to the one high school that I got a chance to visit as an elementary student was Bel Air High, to see Jack and the Beanstalk. And they put on a phenomenal performance, and I know that your arts program still does phenomenal performances as well. Also, just when you were talking about the students visiting La Belle Aire next door, I remember that Bel Air has always had a phenomenal Future Teachers of America program. And so I know that that is something that we've talked about in our district of growing. And so I just wanted to put that out there, just giving you some history. And then I want to say that from January of 2010 until November of 2014, I was a teacher at Bel Air High School, leading the law and government program that Miss Betty Wilkerson had started. So I just wanted to share that with you. I know that your specialized and focused choice programs that exist there now, or your Magna programs, don't directly relate to law and government, but I do know that you have a phenomenal JROTC program that has existed there for quite some time. And I want to let you know that the Louisiana Bar Association is still holding a grant award for Bel Air High to have a law courtroom built on that campus. And so if you need that contact, let's talk after this meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next would be Mr. Cliff Lewis. I accidentally knocked you off the list. Yes, Mr. Lewis.
Okay. Mr. Gordon, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us. And we know that if we don't tell our stories, somebody else will.
Yes, sir.
And I guarantee they're going to tell it, and it ain't going to be the truth. If there's any English people in the room, I'm sorry for using the word ain't. but it ain't gonna be the truth if we let somebody else tell that story. So again, thank you, and I wish you much success.
Thank you.
And you still got my number, so just
Sir.
if you need anything, just give me a call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Lewis. Board Member Rust.
Thank you. Thank you for telling us about Bel Air. I learned some things I didn't know. Really appreciate hearing about service work and helping kids connect with service work because it's such an important value that they can learn at that age. So I'm really excited to hear what you're doing there, and also excited to hear about your improvement in the SPS. I know we've got a lot of work to do there, but that's a trend in the right direction, really important. So whatever we can do as a board to support your school, we're here for that. One thing I wanted to ask, I didn't see if maybe I missed it in the presentation. Do you guys have your freshmen on track, like data for like how your ninth graders are doing?
Yeah, we've been compiling that data. We're in the process of actually beginning to have kid talks in our grade level meetings, specifically with not just the freshmen, but those best practices that occur within freshman academies. We're looking to export that at every grade level because we know it's very critical to make sure that freshmen earn those credits and start off, but we have to stay committed to tracking those students, as they matriculate upwards. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russ. Board Member Lannis.
Principal Gordon,
Yes, sir.
you know we go back.
Yes, sir.
Let me first say, for all the work that you've done, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, a lot of people may not understand the things that you've endured just even trying to get students to learn, and a lot of people would have walked away. But the fact that you're still here says a lot about your story and says a lot about your leadership and what you offer to our kids in our community. So to that, my hat goes off to you. I saw you leave from Glen Oaks High School. You know, that broke my heart. And you went on the EBR readiness and you helped them to start those growth movements going up and trending upwards. And now you're at Bel Air and you're doing phenomenal things. So everything that you're earning, you earned it, my brother.
Thank you.
And to Miss Queen, what I call her all the time, Queen Vanessa LaFleur, thank you for the Promise Lab. I saw it when it initially was opened. Now President Shoshone Stewart was there, as well as my past president, Miss Carla Powell Lewis. It was a phenomenal launching, and the things that you all have been able to do throughout that program, it's just simply been phenomenal. So thank you. Continue to work.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Board Member Lannis. Board Member Sule.
Hi, thank you so much. I have a question about, so this Focus Choice program, is there a chance for students when they leave the program to go straight into the workforce? Like, is there any joint programs with like local businesses to like help go straight from school to working?
During their senior year, there are internship opportunities that exist, for the students. Our focus is really on making sure that they're earning high-quality industry-based credentials, so that when they do enter the world of work, that they're entering with the opportunity to earn, or to enter into a well-paying job. So
Okay.
To answer your question, that would be with the partnership with existing businesses and those internship
Cool.
opportunities. Yes.
Can you tell me some of those businesses that y'all are partnering with?
A lot of times that those relationships is established through our CTEC program.
Okay,
Yes.
so y'all are doing it with
Yes.
CTEC. So do
Yes.
your kids go from Bel Air to CTEC, or you have all those programs on site at Bel Air?
Every program that I highlighted is at Bel Air.
Bel Air,
So
okay.
if there are opportunities that we don't offer, our students would
Go to
attend CTEC.
Go to CTEC,
Yes.
okay. But it's the same businesses, same program that's happening at CTEC? Okay,
CTEC really helps to lead that work with establishing those partnerships.
partnerships, okay,
Yes.
cool, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Sule. Board President Stewart.
Yes, just wanted to personally and publicly thank Mr. Gordon for the continuation of success and the increase from which started a couple of years ago. And so, and of course, by the numbers, we see the thrive and the increase. And so just want to thank you and to tell you to continue the work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Stewart. I've entered the queue, Mr. Gordon. thank you and your staff for all the hard work that you're doing. You know, changing the direction of a school is very difficult, and I understand that very much. I also wanted to just explore a little bit about how we as a district can help you, because one of the things that I've found in visiting some of the various high schools and others is one area that we don't have a lot of good control over but really hurts us in a lot of areas is the graduation cohort. And what I've been told and shown in some other schools is that we have a lot of students who just leave and we don't know where they've gone. And unless we can check them off a roll and say we know they went to this school or somewhere like that, they count against us in that graduation cohort. So I was just wondering, what efforts are you taking as a school to try to keep that number of unknowns to a minimum? And what more resources can we as a district give to you to help you reduce that number? Because that's a number that the only control we have over that is to understand where these students are going.
Specifically as it relates to Bel Air, with our population, with 28% of our population being Hispanic Latino, we have, they're challenged to sometimes be successful on the LEAP exam, okay? So they culturally, sometimes the emphasis for entering the world of work at an earlier age, you know, there's a high importance, you know, on that. So first of all, having the right people in the building that are willing to roll their sleeves up and do their dirty work, that's what it starts with. Also with making sure that we are communicating to parents. When I highlighted Dr. Morahan, making sure that those parents know that they are welcome at our school. We want to have conversations with them. We want to encourage the kids to stay in school. To your point, get industry-based credentials. So those are some of the things that I know specifically at Bel Air that are challenges. We've identified it. We're working on it. And to answer your question, how can you support? I'm really trying to build a family atmosphere, place a significant importance on building relationships so that we can know the students in our building, so that we don't just put them in a class that meets an elective requirement, but we're giving them, we're matching them up with something that they have a genuine interest in. So one of the things that we've established is a house system. So roughly we have 7 houses on the campus. So I would like to invite all of you to be a member of one of the houses. So you could come in, you could speak, you could share, because these kids need to be mentored. They need to have your example. They need to know that they can do it. I think that's talk to them. Be there, willing to inspire them on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that ends the queue, so you can sit down now.
Thank you.
And thank you and your staff for all the hard work.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Keep up the excellent work. And board members, Mr. Gordon didn't ask for money from you. He just asked for your time. Asked for your time. So thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to item D1, test security policy. Consideration of request for the approval of the 2024-2025 East Baton Rouge Parish School System test security policy. Do we have any public comments on item D1? Dr. Finney.
Thank you. Mistakes happen. The key is to learn from mistakes. My understanding is that someone was probably deprived of their rights under statute to comment on the special meeting that just occurred. So I would encourage you in this meeting to take great care to read any public comments that were submitted under the assumption, whether you have that verified or not, that the person is taking advantage of the state law that requires that you allow people with certain disabilities to participate virtually. Since you probably can't vet every single commenter that might comment to determine whether they qualify, you should assume that everyone qualifies and read all public comments. Thank you for your time.
Nice suit.
Thank you, Dr. Finney. Any other public comments on item D1? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion.
Move.
It's moved to approve the 2024-2025 East Baton Rouge Parish Systems Test Security Policy, moved by Mr. Lannis. Is there a second by Ms. Stewart? Are there any comments from any board members on this item? Seeing none, and I hope everyone is into the new board meeting, logged into the board docs on the new board meeting. Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote.
I think I'm in the new meeting.
The motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is item D2, call for an election. Consideration of request for the approval of a resolution to call for the election of the renewal of the property taxes on May 3rd, 2025. Public comments? Dr. Finney.
Thank you. I hope that you would set these election or taxes for renewal, and you have an opportunity at the same time that you're going to the voters and paying the expense of an election to exercise your opportunity under the redistricting part of Title 17 and ask the voters whether they would prefer that they be represented by a number other than 9 board districts, such as 13 or 15. And there are very good reasons for those other numbers, and this is a great opportunity to ask the public with minimal additional expense. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finney. Any other public comments on item D2? Seeing none, we will now go to the board. Are there any comments on item D2? Mr. Lewis.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lopez, could you come up, please? Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Listen, now we took some votes in 23, correct? For tax renewals?
22.
I'm sorry, 22. I put those plans kind of side by side and looked at them. They look very similar.
They do.
Look very similar. And in 23, propositions 2 and 4 dealt with salaries and benefits.
So this is not the tax plan.
I know it's not the tax plan, but it states in those proposals that that millage will be collected for salaries and benefits.
Correct. That was the reason for it.
Then in the one that we're voting on tonight, it's propositions 3 and 5. So could you kind of help me talk about those?
So we have multiple millages, and they roll in 10-year increments, and based upon whenever the authorization period ends, we come back for election. These are the final 5 to do for a significant period of time. We did the others, and we have them going out until, I think, 2033.
33 is what it says.
Yes. This will bump all of these out until 2036, 27, and 28. And so you will not hear from me again about these things until 2033. And it probably won't be me.
And I can promise you it won't be me. Okay?
I don't have that many left.
Okay, so now in 23, Proposition 1 dealt with operations.
Mm-hmm.
But in the one we're voting on tonight, there's nothing about operations. Well, Proposition 1 talks about, probably shouldn't say this, but talks about eye care.
One of these is the eye care millage. It's specifically for eye care. It's actually placed in a grant account because eye care is 100% funded through this property tax.
Okay, and that amount is the dollar amount?
It's about $3 million.
So we give eye care $3 million.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
over a 10-year period?
It's every year for 10 years.
For every year for 3 years, we give eye care $3 million.
Yes, sir, as long as the property tax is maintained, yes. Or property values, rather.
Okay, even if the property taxes don't maintain, they're still going to get a
They will get their
extremely nice
percentage.
piece of money.
Yes.
What's the mission for eye care? I understand eye care's mission in the beginning was alcohol and drugs.
Correct.
What's their mission now?
Sir, I'd hate to speak. That's not my area. I've always seen them as alcohol and drug-related and mental health.
Yeah, here comes Ms. Dupree.
I said Ms. Dupree is a
maybe
much better
she can help me
expert.
understand eye care getting $3 million a year.
Good evening.
Okay.
Eye Care has a focus, the original focus was drug prevention, drug and violence prevention and intervention.
Drug and violence or just drugs?
Drug and violence
Okay.
prevention and intervention. They have an acronym, ADAP, which is what the tax is linked to, ADAP, but it's drug prevention and intervention. And we provide services not just to the East Baton Rouge Parish School System students, but any students who live within our school district's taxing authority. So we also, because all taxpayers are paying, so if any school wants the services, because they're taxpayers, we will go to those schools. So we've gone to Catholic schools, private schools, as long as they're within our district of the school system.
And I know we go to parochial schools and other schools as well.
Yes, sir.
I think the trauma that our kids go through, I'd rather see an eye care person in a school where there's been shootings. And I'm not saying they don't go there, but they're there for a couple of days and then they're gone. Trauma doesn't show up 3 days after my classmate gets shot on the street. So if we're going to give eye care $3 million, I need to see some mental health professionals, not lay people, working in eye care. I need to see people parked at some of the schools that are in some of our most violent communities where kids are being shot and killed. And they need to be there permanently. They need to be there for a while. They just don't need to show up, pat some people on the back, tell them everything's okay, and then leave. Eye care is important. I've seen them do their work. I've been involved with eye care in schools. But I think the climate that we live in, as a school district, we're having to adjust ourselves to the climate that we live in and the climate that our kids are attending schools in. I think eye care, if they're going to be a partner with us, then they may need to adjust their sales. I'm not saying totally get away from drugs and stuff, but trauma. Treating kids, their families, because those parents pay those taxes, not those children. Treating families, have things in place ongoing for those families to come to receive treatment 6 days, 6 months, 6 years after the trauma has taken place.
Yes, sir. And the research there, and it shows that. I can tell you that many of the eye care specialists that are not necessarily they're not mental health professionals. They have gone through training for trauma-informed care, and we work with the schools to do in-services and support the social workers and the school counselors with the trauma-informed care. But I agree with you, we need more mental health support.
We do. We've had a half a dozen kids killed this year. If I had a kid that was shot at a high school or killed, I would expect to drive by that school and I'd expect to see an eye care van or bus parked there for a while. That's just me wishful thinking, okay? But I care, and I may get in trouble for saying this, but I don't care. Eye care needs to change their mission to address the population and the kids that we are serving, whether that's in a direct run school, a charter school, a private school, a Catholic school, or a home school. Our kids are living in dangerous times, and they need to be supported for as long as they can. I read something very interesting a couple years ago. The shooting at Columbine took place in 1999, no, I'm sorry, 98, 97, 98. They had counselors in Columbine talking to kids who weren't even born when that shooting took place. They still had counselors in the school 10, 15 years later. If we're going to be a progressive city in a progressive school district, we need to look at how we're really doing things.
Mr. Lewis?
I'm sorry, my time up?
It's been a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, Mike.
No, this is an important subject, and I was giving you the grace to let this go on. But I would suggest that perhaps an appropriate way to look at this, because this is for the tax and funding, but perhaps we can ask the superintendent to put on the schedule for a meeting in the future for a review of the eye care program.
I didn't mean to get carried away. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, yes, sir, absolutely, because I do want to say for the record, eye care has shifted in the number of counselors they have, can't meet the needs of all of our students. So most of the eye care specialists have been assigned certain schools to work with, and in those schools, they're assigned certain students to work with on a weekly basis who continuously express that they're experiencing trauma for whatever that's taking place in their life. So it's not even a tragic incident that's taking place at a school. If something's happening in a neighborhood, in their personal life, an eye care specialist has been assigned to work with those students at least once a week. And so in addition to that, the referrals can come from the teachers, come from the principals, and the family members and parents can request that an eye care specialist come in and work with the school, or work with the students in a particular school. It's just that when a tragic incident happens at a school, they're deployed there for that particular day to work with groups of students in need, and then after that, the specialists are assigned specific students who still say they want to receive the counseling and the support from the specialists as they continue on. And the specialists can follow those students not only from middle school, but elementary, but into middle and on into high school for extended periods of time. It's just that in eye care, and the director of eye care has stated for a long time, they don't have enough specialists to be able to cover the mass needs we have in our school system. But I would love for Erin and her team to come and do a full presentation for the board about what they do.
And our focus on schools, because the problems that you're talking about manifest themselves in our schools. That's why we need to tell our story like Mr. Gordon was doing tonight, because if we don't and he don't, somebody will.
Thank you. Board Member Lannis.
Well, I won't grandstand on that particular issue, but what I will say is, no, I'm not saying you grandstanding, Coach, because there's a lot I want to say on it too, but I don't want to use too much time to talk about it. What I will say, though, is I am in full agreement with you. There needs to be a direct shift, because as someone who's directly involved in community violence intervention throughout this community, I will say alcohol and drugs, while those are key proponents of things that kids should be talking about, or things that we could focus on, that is at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of the things that are happening in the schools and the levels of support that kids need. I'm even willing to say this to our superintendent, and I hope everyone else could stand behind it as well. If it makes sense that we don't have enough professionals to get it done, and we have money in our budget to support finding more professionals that can readily be on those campuses and do those things to support those kids and support those programs, I am all for putting up the dollars so that we can find the shifts that we need in order to change a lot of the things that we're talking about here today. When you talk about guns, these are real things happening inside our community. And school violence is a direct correlation to what's happening inside of our community with community violence. And until we address that, which I saw something you posted today, Soup, we have to come together as a community to fix what's taking place across our community. It can't just be the school district. We've been saying this for years, but it's at a head at this point because kids can't learn if they don't feel safe. I'll just stop there and just, again, readdress the point or reiterate. If the dollars are there, it makes sense that we find realignment around it. I fully support putting more money into helping eye care make those changes. Ms. Lopez. 1 second. I promise I won't be long. And I just want to come back to the tax plan because at the time in 2023, I had more input into it because I was a part of the conversation as being part of leadership with Ms. Powell Lewis. That was a supplement, correct?
So
For teacher pay.
yes,
Okay.
all the millages were, when they were originally created, was for a specific purpose. The vast majority of them were to increase salaries,
Right.
yes.
Right, and I only asked that because there was some level of confusion at that time around salary. Some people thought that it was going to be some kind of salary increase, but no, it was something to help supplement the pay on the salaries that we're already paying for our teachers and our employees, correct?
Correct. All of these would be simply to maintain. These are renewals. This is nothing new. This is maintaining what you have right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lannis. Board Member Powell Lewis.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I do need you to come back. I'm going to ask all three of my questions at the same time, and that way feel free to answer. I want to make sure that I use my time wisely.
Sure.
Okay, so the first is if you could explain in more detail propositions 2 and 4. And then the other is when we think about the property taxes, is this for the entire parish that goes beyond East Baton Rouge Parish School System, or is this just in regards to East Baton Rouge Parish School System?
So it's just for East Baton Rouge, the ones where these schools are. So Zachary has their own property mills, Central has their mills, and Baker has theirs. And when the tax assessor gets it, it's actually broken out in the report. I can see how much they got, we got, and so forth.
Okay.
I don't list them as props 2 and 4. Are you asking about the 1.04 and the 599 on the special taxes?
So I'm helping a friend out. So for the one that we're voting on tonight.
Okay, so all you're voting on is to call the election for that. These 5 millages may go to the voters as a renewal. And it will be no additional increase to anyone's property taxes. This simply maintains our property taxes, which are collected by the general fund, except for the one that is iCare, the ADAP program. The other 4 are all collected by the general fund, and that's what funds the salaries, the operations, the maintenance, and everything else. So property taxes is, while you would think it would be smaller, it's the largest part of our revenue, which is approximately a little over $200 million is property taxes that we receive.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. My other question, the one that you answered at first, I guess I wanted clarity because as we encourage our communities to vote in favor of this tax, I was wondering what part does Baker and Zachary and Central play in this, but they do not.
They do not. They have their own millages, which when we talked about this during the budget, remember I made the comment that Zachary does 73 mills, and I've always said, wow, I wish I had that many mills. We do not.
Thank you, Board Member Powell Lewis. I entered the queue. Just 2 quick questions. One, is iCare parish-wide, or does Baker, I think Baker and Zachary do participate in iCare?
I don't believe, no.
No? Okay. That's neither here nor there. Thank you. The other thing is, for Superintendent Cole, when we have a presentation on the iCare program, I think we also need to roll that in as how iCare intermeshes with our social workers in the schools, because we greatly increased the number of social workers we had in the school, and they work together through all of this. So I don't want us to get just tunnel vision where we only look at one aspect of it, where I think we need to look at the entire social emotional welfare of the students and what is our entire package. Focus on that, of which iCare is a part.
We'll do a full report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That ends the board discussion. Is there a motion to approve the resolution to call for an election of the renewal of the property taxes? Motion made by Ms. Stewart. Is there a second by Mr. Lewis? Are there any additional board comments at this time? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. Next is item D3, contract renewal, City of Baton Rouge, adult education, EBR prison. Consideration of request for the approval to renew the contract between the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board and the City of Baton Rouge in the amount of $134,110 to allow the East Baton Rouge Parish School System Department of Adult and Continuing Education to continue providing adult education classes and high-set testing for inmates at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison from January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025. We will now go to public comment, and we have one comment card. Dr. Finney?
Just getting up to remind you to read any online comments that might be present on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The online comment for the item D3 is from Storm Matthews. Being a teacher anywhere is dangerous work these days, and some schools are way harder to deal with than others. However, I would just like to say thank you to our adult education department that goes in to do this work. You are appreciated, and it isn't lost on me. Be rejuvenated as you enter this next year of the contract. Okay, are there any, we'll move to board comments. Are there any comments from the board? Board member Powell Lewis.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to share, I had the privilege of attending the adult education graduation the very last day of school before the Christmas holiday. And you all, number one, the ceremony was very, very touching, very moving. My allergies were completely out of whack for the entire event. But one of the main parts of the program was that the leader of that program had at least 3 members of the adult education class to come and share their testimony. And you all, I don't know if it was recorded. If so, I challenge you to catch that and get a chance to watch, just with it being so very touching. And what it's done for me is now I clearly understand, and I continue, and I want to continue to be a champion for adult education. And so whatever we can do to help our prison system, when we say that we are rehabilitating those that are in our prison system, we need to be completely real about it and put as much of our effort towards it as possible, because it changes the quality of life for a family. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Powell Lewis. Any other board comments at this time? I will now entertain a motion. Moved by Ms. Sule, Board Member Sule, a second? Second by Board Member Powell Lewis. Thank you. Are there any additional board comments at this time on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. We will now move to item D4, East Baton Rouge Parish Strategic Plan. Consideration of a request for the approval of the 2025 East Baton Rouge Parish School System Strategic Plan. At this point, I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent Cole.
Yes, sir, thank you. Upon taking this job and speaking with many of you, there was a discussion to update the strategic plan. We had a series of meetings and a workshop and retreat to come up with the parameters to add to and or take away from the existing strategic plan. After the retreat and a series of other meetings we had in small groups as well as with the board members, this is the final product that we have developed as a board, working with myself as well as working with those members of the community who chose to attend. And so we are asking for your approval of this strategic plan as it has input from all 9 board members here as well as myself. And we're seeking to use this plan to guide the work we do in our school system as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any public comment? Wait, let me see. Wait. What it is, D4. We have Mr. Harold Greer.
And President Stewart, I want to say for those at home, this is the draft document. If approved tonight, we'll go back and tweak and correct any mistakes that were made in the document. But this is just the draft document of the strategic plan.
And actually, Mr. Harold Greer said that he's in support of it. He doesn't want to speak. He's in recommendation in support of it. But then we do have Mr. Finney that does wishes to speak.
Thank you. First, my own comment that I was surprised you took the measurables out of the strategic plan. I don't know that I necessarily object, but I made that observation. And then again, a reminder to read the online comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finney. There are no online comments for this item. But thank you for reminding us. At this time, any board members would wish to speak? Board Member Lannis.
Yes, thank you, Vice President Gode. Well, first, let me say, anytime Dr. Finney does not have an objection, Superintendent Cole, you're working with something right now. You're working with something good. Number 2, I'll just say, you know, the time that we did spend talking about the strategic plan and a lot of the things and the self-correction that we were able to make from the original, I want to say kudos to you and your entire team, Superintendent Cole. This is much easier to digest, easier to navigate, not just for our board members, but also for our community as a whole. Continue the great work. And I know you guys are going to continue to make sure that we can hit every single achievable goal that we have, that you have listed. So
Thank you.
Board Member Sule.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Superintendent Cole. And as a board, it was a privilege to work on this with you guys and just to see how in agreement we are on so many things. And I'm excited to begin to really bring it to the community more and begin to really move on student achievement, operational excellence, and employee development. And I'm excited that it's 3 things and that I can memorize them. Also, sorry, Superintendent Cole, I caught you in the middle of a conversation. Or whoever needs to hear. We're all listed as District 1 on the back page. It's a
It has
type.
been fixed.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Board Member Sule. I would just like to make one quick comment addressing some of the issues Dr. Finney raised. We do have metrics behind these, and we will be following metrics. And Mr. Cole, I can tell you, is a very data-driven superintendent, so we will be not only looking at the metrics from the district perspective, but also from an individual school perspective. So I'm very confident that we will be appropriately measuring our success or understanding where we need to do further improvement. Thank you. Mr. Rust.
Thank you. Most of the board knows it has been real important to me that we get to this point to adopt a new strategic plan. And for me, that's important because it really should guide the work of what the board is doing. And I just want to thank all of my fellow board members that participated in that, because I really, really enjoy the opportunity to collaborate together and talk about how can we do better for kids. And I think that this document really hones in on what our strategy should be on how to accomplish that as a board. And we can use this as our rubric for how do we get the ship pointed where we all want to go. So I'm excited to hopefully adopt this. I have had some discussion with the superintendent about what it looks like past that, right? Because we could very, very easily all agree and say, this looks great, and then it sits in a bin. You know, what really matters is what happens once we decide this is how we want to move our school system forward. And so what I've asked the superintendent, and I think he's agreeable to, is to come back to the board after we adopt our strategic plan sometime later this year with his strategy for how he is going to implement the strategic plan. That includes, you know, how we're going to measure these things, as well as what initiatives he is going to recommend that we take on as a board and as a you know, as a team first. And so I want to make sure that we do that and that we live by that. So what I would like to do is move that we approve this item with the recommendation to the superintendent that he return to the board no later than May with specific objectives on how we're going to move forward the strategic plan.
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Russ.
Thank you.
Was that the motion?
Staff, you got that? Okay, all right.
Okay, so Mr. Russ made the motion and Mr. Lannis did the second. Thank you. Are there any other board comments at this time? Board Member Powell Lewis.
Just have a question. My question is there a workshop already in the calendar or on the calendar for the board in regards to the strategic plan?
There's not a recommended date, but there is a plan to have a workshop with the board, but we don't have a tentative date. No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a vote?
Please vote. The motion carries.
Thank you. We now move to item D5, guiding principles. Consideration of request for the approval of the alignment guiding principles and timeline. We have public comment request by Dr. Finney.
First, I'm told there actually is an online comment on this item.
Yes.
And my own comment is that I like the guiding principles. I like this administration's obvious interest and emphasis on collecting data carefully. I'm a little worried about the timeline. I think it looks unrealistically optimistic. And so I would hope you don't let haste interfere with doing things methodically, carefully, and taking whatever time is required to gather good data, consider the data carefully, and make wise decisions. Particularly since there was an announcement this week that you'll suddenly have 2,000 students that need to be placed in good schools, and that will affect the metrics tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finney. Are there any other public comments from those in the presence of the meeting? Seeing none, we do have an online comment from Ms. Storm Matthews. First and foremost, stop calling it realignment, as you all are only doing it so that the families that this will affect will not be able to tell what you're doing. It is school closures. Item 1 would never be accepted from a teacher for students. What parameters do you gauge this on? I agree with the idea, but it is too subjective. Everyone think their school fits this. The timeline is not feasible for this board, community, employees, or stakeholders. However, I might still be around to fight it. Closing schools doesn't save that much money unless you're talking about the ones with less than 100 students. That ends the online comments. Are there any comments from the board? Mr. Lannis.
Yes, thank you, Vice President. I just want to say this is a realignment. It is an excellent plan. We have done this before. It has happened throughout my district on several occasions. I just want to remind people, Howard Park realigned with Claiborne. White Hills realigned with Brownsfield. North Banks realigned with Glen Oaks High School. And those schools are still in operation today. Kids are still going there, and we're going to do everything that we have to ensure that this plan makes sense, and we're going to support our superintendent as well as staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lannis. Are there any other comments from the board? Superintendent Cole?
Yeah, I do want to say first and foremost, thank you to the board, because as part of our retreat, we talked about realignment, and to your point, Member Lannis, during a realignment process, there are a number of things that could possibly happen. We are not going to run from the reality that school closures could be one, but it is not the only thing. We may realign programs. We may realign what is happening at some of our schools in terms of the way we are deploying our staff and our resources. And so we are having a conversation about realignment. And secondly, I want to say the timeline is not a timeline, a one-time deal for the entire district. This is going to be an ongoing process over a series of years to talk about what's best. We're not going to rush into the process, but we are going to rush into engaging the community and having the critical conversations about what they want for their communities, what is best, and what is our reality in terms of what exists. I also like to take the moment to acknowledge that we have called in an expert in this process, and Ms. Pam Whitley, who is here tonight. She is a product of the East Baton Rouge Parish School System, who left for 30 years and did this work at a high level, and is back now and is going to help us facilitate these community conversations, because she's been able to do it at a high level with challenging groups of communities all over the country. And so with her help, our support, and our collective expertise, I think we're going to have some very robust conversations with our communities. And then when we get to a point where it's time to make a recommendation during the months of March and April, we will go back to the community and have more conversations to help them to understand where we are and how we are going to use the tiers to talk about what is best for our students. The last thing I want to say is we have a responsibility to ensure that we put our students in the best possible learning environments, and that we make the tough decisions to do so. It's not going to be easy. They're not going to be easy. The conversations are not going to be easy, but in the end, if we put our students first, I think we're going to come away with decisions that will put them on a path to a better academic future. And so I look forward to working with the board. I look forward to working with the community. And I look forward to having Ms. Whitley do all of the work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Cole. Board Member Rust.
I just want to thank the superintendent for bringing this forward and putting your money where your mouth is. This is the hardest thing that you and we collectively have to do. And so I hope that this plan will bear some fruit. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Rust. I am now ready to entertain a motion for the approval of the 2025 alignment guiding principles and timeline. Motion by Ms. Stewart, second by Mr. Lannis. Are there any other board comments at this time on the item? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we move to item D6, consideration of request for the approval of a resolution to appoint an ITEP committee representative. Public comment from Dr. Finney.
I have two thoughts. The first is frustration that we have no idea what your intentions are, so people who are interested wouldn't know whether to speak in favor of the board president or the superintendent, who, if I read it correctly, are the only two choices. But the main reason I'm standing here is to hope that whoever gets selected opposes every single ITEP proposal. The taxes that the voters chose to put on property should be collected. They should not be refunded to, or credited, or not collected, or rebated, or whatever, to support economic development. That is not what the voters chose to do when they approved the millages and when they're going to renew those millages that you just set for election. So whoever you choose, I hope that they are the one vote, possibly eventually to be joined by others, that oppose ITEP. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finney. We do have one online comment from Ms. Storm Matthews. Mr. Cole, that is the post. Okay? From our queue, Board Member Powell Lewis.
I know I've had a lot of comments tonight. With this particular item, I want to share, after having the opportunity to participate in one meeting as a part of the ITEP committee for our district or for our parish, I will say that initially I was one of the main ones who mentioned that our superintendent should be serving in that capacity. I do recognize, though, that it is important that we have those who represent the voices of our community serving in those roles. And so, like I said, I attended one meeting, and that meeting was made up of the mayor president, a representative from the sheriff's office, and then, of course, there was the Baton Rouge Area Chamber that was pretty much educating those who may be in the public on the tenets that were in regards to the ITEP item. And then, of course, there was myself, who had the opportunity to serve as well. There is quite a bit of education that can take place in regards to ITEP items from both standpoints, whether it's from the community and the constituent standpoint, as well as from the businesses who are asking for the exemptions. And so with that in mind, I am in favor of our board leadership serving in the role of being on the ITEP committee.
Thank you, Board Member Powell Lewis. Board Member Patrick Martin.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Ms. Powell Lewis coming around to the position I advocated last time. And so I certainly believe, as I did last time, that it's appropriate for the board president to serve in this role. And if it's a motion's in order at this time, I move that the board president be the school board's representative on the ITEP committee.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any other additional board comments at this time? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Before we go into the announcement of meetings, I'd like to take just a point of personal privilege just for a second. I would like all of us to think and reflect and hold in your hearts all of the people in New Orleans who suffered that tragic terrorist attack on January 1st, and also all the people of Los Angeles with all the fires. We have seen hurricanes and things like that. The pictures I have seen are unbelievable to the total destruction that has been left on there. And in particular, for all of the first responders, firefighters, EMS and police, and all the folks who greatly put their lives and limbs in danger to protect us, the citizens. So I would just like all of us to hold those in your heart and pray for them and pray for all of the victims. Thank you. Mr. Lannis.
One, I want to just say, here to everything that you just said. I also want to use a point of personal privilege, which is really quick, to say this year, taking a really big stance on literacy to try to push into our early childhood areas as well as our elementary schools. One of the things that I am trying to spearhead, and I hope that board members can also get behind, is a book donation campaign to all of our elementary schools across our entire parish, whether you are part of the East Baton Rouge Parish School System or you are part of another school system. Working together as a team means something, and standing on literacy together, I think, sends a healthy message across our entire community. So anyone who would like to donate, please do so. Just giving books that mean something to students so that we get them more actively reading and more engaged in literacy across our entire parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lannis. Board Member Lewis.
Really quick, I only got 14 seconds, Mike. That's what you only gave me 14
I didn't
seconds.
hit the button again. There you go.
No, seriously, as a moment of personal privilege, I'd like to advise people or to ask people, if you didn't, at some point in the next couple of days, watch the replays of Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Yes.
He was a president that we talk about the planet and energy and all the things that are impacting this planet now. Jimmy Carter was way ahead of the curve. He established the EPA. I think he established the Department of Education. He was a visionary, and I hope somewhere in this city, in this country today, that history teachers, civics teachers, principals turned on televisions and allowed children to see a real American who was born in the USA, who loved this country and loved what it stood for. And maybe he can serve as a reminder of what we can still be, because this country has great potential that it never have. It has great potential that it has never had. And people like Jimmy Carter believed in that. So do your kids and your grandkids a favor. Let them learn about Jimmy Carter. As a young 18, 19-year-old kid, when he came into office, the climate in this country was one of great opportunity and chances. We cannot lose that. And we're on the verge of losing a lot of the things that he stood for. Do yourself a favor and let your children and your grandchildren learn who Jimmy Carter was and what he did. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lewis. Next is item E1, announcement of meetings. The next meetings, activities will be a board workshop to be held on January 14th, 2025 at 4 to 6 p.m. in the Instructional Resource Center. I understand that is the subject of that workshop will be the budget. And a regular meeting to be held on January 16th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Central Office Boardroom. Do I have a motion to adjourn, Mr. Lewis?
We are
Adjourn. Thank you.
It's 6:40.
Aye.